Good morning, Chertsey Hi family. Wow, I miss you guys so much. The theme of the week for this week is courage. We'll be looking at different examples of where people have shown courage and bravery, and we'll explore some strategies to become fearless in our pursuit to excellence. Courage for me is about being brave. It's about breaking through our own barriers and striving for something more than what we think is possible. I absolutely love how this young girl proudly wears a cape, standing bold and brave, and I bet you nothing will ever stand in her way. These are people who have shown courage working and fighting for peace. The first person we have is Martin Luther King, a civil rights activist. Dr. Martin Luther King had courage. He had it, he gave it away, and he showed his courage. His courage led the whole nation to a new dream of racial equality. Even through the times of difficulty, when Dr. King was arrested in January 1963, he spread his teachings throughout the country. Now, the next person we have is Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela was in prison for 21 years. He said the following about courage. He said, "I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear." As you all know, Nelson Mandela went on to become the president of South Africa in 1994. The next person we have is Malala Yousafzai. Malala is a campaigner for girls' education from Pakistan. She was shot by the Taliban in 2012 when she was only 14 years old, but continued her work and became the youngest person ever to win the world-famous Nobel Peace Prize. The last person we have is Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa grew famous for humbly ministering to the homeless and the poorest of the poor in the slums of Calcutta. Mother Teresa showed courage in many ways. However, the whole time she was helping people, she was putting her life at risk. At the time, many people did not want to speak or wanted people to speak of God, so they started making rules that put Mother Teresa and a lot of other people in jeopardy. This most definitely did not stop her to do good and those around her to help those most in need. Right, next up, I want us to watch the short clip about an 8-year-old Pride of Britain winner, Bailey Matthews. Bailey has everything against him, and despite his cerebral palsy, he still lives every day with passion and courage. We can all most definitely learn so much from Bailey. What I want you to do is I want you to pause your slide and then have a look at the short video clip. It's about 8 minutes long. I hope you enjoy it. Once you've watched it, you can move on to the next slide. Right, slide 5. These members of staff also showed courage through difficult times. So what I've done was I've asked each member of staff to give us an example of where they had to show courage in their lives. The first person we have is Mrs. Viljoen. She told us the following. She said, "When I was in high school, a family member and myself were held hostage. It was by the grace of God that we came out of the situation unscathed. It took a lot of courage and time after the incident to deal with everything I was feeling. In many situations, especially ones like these, you tend to become very unhappy and have to deal with many different emotions. However, it was my courage and the love from my family members that helped me stay positive. I kept telling myself it could have been a lot worse. After all, I did come out of the situation completely unhurt. It made me think that I had been given a second chance at life, constantly living every moment to the fullest. It takes courage to be positive. It takes courage to remain happy. It takes courage to always see the better in people, regardless of how they treat us." What a beautiful testament. Right, the next person we have is Mr. Allen. So I asked him the same question, and this is what he said. He said, "Well, some years back, I took a backpack and set off to walk from Land's End to John O'Groats. Just me and my backpack. Journey took me 40 days. It was an amazing experience, and I met many wonderful people along the way. through sponsorship, which I raised considerable sums of money, which was donated to a Salesian school in India. Just as a side, also in between times, I cycled the same route 3 times. This took a lot of courage, although it was filled with many, many happy memories. What a beautiful story. Right, the next one is Mr. Ball. So let's find out what he said. He said, well, it sounds silly, but I started playing adult rugby when I was training to become a PE teacher so that I would be able to teach PE rugby better. I hadn't played it since I was 10. It was a bit embarrassing going to training and not knowing what to do or how the drills worked and not knowing anyone. But I got fully involved. I went to all the training sessions and managed to get player of the season by the end of my 2nd year. Obviously, the game itself took lots of bravery, and I always loved playing with brave players, as you knew they wouldn't let the team down. I made sure that I always played bravely, and it gave me great satisfaction, even if we lost, to know that I've given my best. Now, that's most definitely a story which I think all of us can take with us, that even though sometimes the outcome might not be what we were hoping for or thought it would still be a lot of courage, and we would learn a great life lesson through that. The last person we have is Mrs. Willoughby. So I asked this question to Mrs. Willoughby, and she told us the following. She said, I went to university with the intention to work in marketing and brand management. I built my whole CV, including summer jobs, towards this. I got an exciting job when I graduated and moved to a new city and then to Europe to work on the company's brands. I had lots of fun, but it didn't make me fulfilled. I realized I wanted to work with young people. By the time I trained to teach, I had children and life was really busy. Training involved long hours in school and long hours at home studying and planning for lessons. I wanted to be a good mum, a wife, a daughter, sister, friend, a teacher, a student, to exercise, to read, sleep, and find time for myself. But it was absolutely impossible to find the time to do everything. I was really disappointed and sad that trying to have this new career I wanted so much was making me sacrifice so many things that were important to me. I definitely thought about quitting most days, but I didn't. I put one foot in front of the other. I talked to the people who loved me. I cried. I tried to focus on my days, on what I was doing. When that wasn't helping, I played tricks on myself. I used to say, you just have to get to lunch. Don't think about anything other than that. And in between the tricks and the love and no small amount of stubbornness, I did it. For me, courage is not accepting a life that is less than the one that will make you fully happy and fully fulfilled. Courage happens every day. It's putting one foot in front of the other when it's hard and tired and you're not totally sure how to do it. Wow, what inspirational stories from these incredible members of staff. We can definitely learn something from each member of staff. Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is that little voice at the end of the day that says, I'll try again tomorrow. Boys and girls, sometimes we think that in order to be courageous, one needs to be loud. But that is not true. Listen to that inner voice that tells you never to give up and to always keep on going. As a child, I always thought that celebrities did not need to be brave or have courage. Well, I could not have been more wrong. This clip that you're about to watch is an example of where people needed to have the courage to stand up and fight for what they believed in, even though they failed many times. Again, what I would like you to do is to pause this slide, then watch the video clip, and then move on to the next slide afterwards. We've lived in an uncertain world during very unsettling circumstances around us. This requires us to have the courage not to lose hope and to continue to make a difference in the lives of those around us. I would like you now to take a quiet moment of prayer or reflection and think about how courage can make the world a better place. I'm going to give you a few seconds just to think and reflect. Right, so I thought about the 5 biggest questions that I struggled to either answer myself or come to terms with, Mr. Hicks was brave enough to answer the first question for us. And the question was, when have you been proud of yourself for being brave? This is what he shared. He said, I guess I'm pretty proud of donating my stem cells for a stranger. I signed up to the bone marrow register thinking it was never going to happen. I thought if it was going to happen, it would be a giant needle in my hip, but luckily it wasn't. I got the call that I was a match for someone desperately sick. Now I hate needles, absolutely terrified of them. I had to have 4 injections every day for 4 days. The injections gave me horrendous bone aches and headaches. The big day arrived and I was essentially hooked up to dialysis machine for 6 hours. It was awfully uncomfortable. I'm really proud of myself. I managed to get over my massive fear of needles and went through a pretty grim process to help a stranger have a life chance. Oh my goodness, this guy is an absolute life hero. Mr. Hicks, this is just an absolute legendary act of kindness, and I now probably know why we all love you so much. This must have taken so much courage and an absolute inspirational story. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. The next person I wanted to ask was Mrs. Brazier, and what I asked her was, have you ever wished you could have shown more courage? This is what she said. The times that I wished I had shown more courage have been when I have been fearful of something. That is meeting new people, scared of rejection, fearful of change. I think I have always overcome my fears and so found the courage from somewhere, but I have wasted many hours in my life of letting fear out, balancing my courage. I wish that I hadn't worried about going into a room where I didn't know anyone and wasted half of an hour prepping myself to walk in. I wish I hadn't spent days worrying about an activity coming up that turned out to be amazing fun. All I managed to do in the days leading up to this was worry about nothing. I also wish I hadn't spent so much time worrying about what other people might think of me and had more courage in myself. I think we all can relate to Mrs. Brazier on this note. How many times have we spent hours and hours worrying about something, and then actually once we've completed the activity or once the experience is over, we realize actually there was nothing to worry about and we've just wasted all our energy on worrying about something which really is not worth worrying. Thank you so much for sharing this, Ms. Brazier. We could not let Miss Castle-Smith get away without testing her bravery, so I asked her to try and explain to us when people around her show courage, or whether she actually noticed that, and then I asked her whether their actions made things better. She said the following. She said, I think it is important to consider when people show courage and when people show confidence. So people often assume that confidence helps them start new things and confidence keeps them going. However, you need courage to begin something. When you begin something, there is always uncertainty and fear comes into that. So courage gives you the ability to put aside that fear and take your first steps. Courageous actions do make things better. People show courage when they embrace the fear, as facing fears make them smaller and less scary. People show courage by not hesitating. This gives your brain less time to think about the negative outcomes. People show courage by being mindful. Being mindful is being full of present in the current moment. Also, getting outside of your comfort zone might cause anxiety, but it can help you learn courage. Having confidence allows you to trust in your abilities and yourself. Remember, don't let your failures or limitations dictate who you are. So, for example, if you are scared of spiders, but you decide to use a cup to get rid of the spider, and you do this without hesitation, with all your focus and believing that you can do it, you will show courage and maybe not be so scared of spiders. Showing these actions make things better in any situation. This is really wise words from Ms. Castle-Smith, and I'm pretty sure we can all take a lesson from this message and apply it to our daily life. Seeing the science department department are constantly testing my courage in the school, I'm not going to lie. So I therefore thought it would be fitting to ask Mr. Cory what he thought the consequences would be of not being brave. This is what he said. To be brave is to go beyond what is known, to step into the unknown. Without the courage of the brave, we would be limited to what is in front of us, never experiencing the world beyond the end of our nose. To be the first to put your head above the parapet, to go out on a limb, or to wear your heart on a sleeve is a daunting prospect. To reach beyond the comfortable can feel unnatural, but only the brave deserve the fair. Nothing worth having comes easy, and it takes something more than goodwill and a bright idea to change the world. He then leaves us with this last comment. In a fruit bowl of apples, be an orange. Wise, wise words, Mr. Cory. I'm learning on a daily basis so much about life from Mr. Munnik, so it was just fitting to ask him the final question. I asked him the following. If you find it really hard to be brave, what could you do to help yourself make the right choice? This is what he does in his daily life. He said, being brave is not easy. I have found that using people around me that I can trust and rely on to give me the right support and advice can definitely help. Remember that surrounding yourself with like-minded people will help you face any obstacle or challenge not on your own. These are wise words from Mr. Munnik. I think we can all learn that we should not take any or face any battle or challenge on our own. We are there to help one another. We are there to be there for one another. So remember, once you are part of this Chertsey High family, you're not on your own. We're all in this together, and no worry or concern is too big or too small to share with a close friend or a member of staff. Right, boys and girls, finally, I want us to take away these 4 nuggets from today's assembly and try and see how we can apply this in our daily lives in order to continue to make a difference in the lives of those around us. The first nugget is this question. Do you have what it takes to stand when others around you can't or won't? The second nugget. Do you have the guts to speak up for the weak and defend those who lack? Next question. Do you have the stomach to stand on a platform for a cause that is needed? And then our last nugget. Do you have the faith to stand up for your faith despite what others think or say? I hope you can take these 4 nuggets with you this week and try and apply them to your daily lives and see if you can use them to really make a difference and a contribution to the lives of those people around you. Have a fantastic week, Chertsey High. I miss all of you tremendously, but remember, go put your capes on because we've got this. Much love to all of you. Bye.